let's do this. All right, my good people. So in this lesson, we're going to be talking about finding the main idea, okay? So basically when you have a text or you have like a paragraph or something that you have to read, especially for the test, you have these passages that you have to do. You guys can look in your book and you can see. So you can see like a paragraph or something that you have to read through. You should be able to identify the main idea. So of course, I'm recording this so people can then later watch it, but I'm also looking away because you guys are also here. So, so with that, we want to be able to locate the main idea. And that is what is the entire point of this reading, right? Sorry. Okay, so to define it, a main idea is the sentence that tells you the most important point that the author wants you to understand about the paragraph, right? So what is this paragraph about? So it's more like a sentence or two sentences, right? Or like a little chunk that tells us exactly what is the point of the author, okay? And obviously the author is the person writing or the person who wrote this story or this news article or this reading that you have read, okay? So the stated main idea sentence is also called a topic sentence, all right? So a topic sentence because it tells us the topic of our paragraph. Any questions? No questions so far. Cool. So basically, almost every single paragraph in English tends to have one topic sentence or one main idea that it talks about. Cool? So for example, well, can't give the example now. We'll give an example in a second. So what are the steps that you need to take to understand the main idea? One, you should read the paragraph carefully. Determine the subject matter of the paragraph by asking yourself. So there's one thing that you can do is you can ask who or what this passage is about. And you can ask yourself, what does the author want me to understand about the subject? More so than this, typically a topic sentence is usually the first or second sentence in the paragraph. Okay? So if you're looking for it and you're not sure where it is typically the first or second sentence in the paragraph. Good? Awesome. All right, so you want to ask yourself who or what the passage is about and what is the author trying to tell me. And the next step that we have is you want to search for a single sentence in the paragraph that answers the question, what does the author want me to understand about the subject? And a sentence that answers that question is the main idea. So typically, if you're looking for the main idea and you ask, what's the point? Why is this person writing the story? Or why am I reading this news article? It is because the answer is the topic sentence. So the answer is what that person wants us to understand. Cool? Awesome. So I'm going to turn off the AC for a second, only because it's going to get really loud. I'm going to, okay, I can open the windows instead. Or not, maybe I can't open the windows. I know it's hot for you guys, but. For the sanity of the people who are also listening. All right, so to continue, my good people, for those of you who are watching or listening online, this is just a minute distraction. Thanks for keeping with me. Okay. 1 second, we lost our connection. Come on. All right. 1 second, my people. All right, we're back. Cool. So that is for if we're trying to find the topic sentence. Any questions on that so far? No? All right, let's continue. So the mental process used to determine the main idea is basically the same as you would use in a conversation. So if you're talking to somebody, to really make this simple, if you're talking to somebody and somebody goes on and on and on about a subject, you are listening, but you're also looking for why this person is telling you the story, right? What's the point? What's the lesson? What are we trying to get out of this? In a topic sentence, or when we are writing, or reading in this case, when we are reading, we are looking, for that just like we would in a conversation. Yeah? So I have people staring at me here, I have people staring at me online, and all of you are trying to figure out why I'm telling you this, right? And you've thought about it, we talked about it in the beginning, and you probably realize that I'm telling you all of this because it's related to topic sentence. So in the same way, when you're reading a text, you want to look for that topic sentence. Cool? Yeah? Awesome. Questions? No questions? All right. Cool. So the main idea of a paragraph is usually stated as a sentence. Usually it's its own sentence, and it is typically, like I said, it is the beginning of the paragraph, okay? Because after that, we tend to put the supporting details, like why are you telling me all of this, right? So we give people examples. So it always contains the subject matter. So we always know what it's talking about, or the general idea. And it always states the most important points about the subject matter. So in a paragraph that you could be reading, the most important thing is usually at the top of that paragraph. And it tells us the most important thing about it, and just like in a conversation. And then we start giving examples, right? So I can tell you that my brother is very smart. He is building his business. He is trying to get better. He's working on his construction license. He is just a smart guy. Can anyone tell me the topic that I just talked about? My brother. That's who I talked about. What else? What did I say? My brother is smart. So the entire point of me telling you the story is for you to know that my brother is smart. In writing as well, when you are reading, you can often see it's stated as one complete sentence. My brother is smart, right? That's what we said. And it is often stated also, it contains the most important thing. So after I told you that my brother is smart, I then added why he is smart, right? I told you that he's getting his contractor license. I told you he's starting his business and whatever else I said earlier, right? So once the subject or the topic sentence has the most important information in it, and then the reasons come after. Cool? So it generally covers or is general enough to cover all the important information in the paragraph, right? My brother is smart is just a general statement. And then I tell you why. But him being smart is always the main point. Is never stated as a question. So I can't say, is my brother smart? That's not it. And is never stated as a word or a phrase. So along with, right, like alone, like a dependent clause, right? Because he is smart, period. Well, I can't stand, right? It doesn't work. So these are ways to identify the main idea. Okay, so effectors readers always seek the main idea. You always want to find the main idea, especially if you're taking a test and you don't have time to read every single word. You want to always find the main idea. The main idea is important. To identify the main idea is important in each paragraph because usually each paragraph has its own main idea. Why else can it be important? Well, to understand how the information in the other sentence relates to the main idea or the paragraph. Every other information that is in that paragraph is most likely related to that topic sentence. Does that make sense? Yeah? So we said my brother is smart. He is getting his contractor license. Well, he is getting his contractor license is related to he is smart. He is opening his own business is related to he is smart. So anything else that you find in that paragraph is going to be related to the topic sentence. Cool? All right. So if you are watching this, if you are watching this later and you're online, just leave a comment if you have a question. And obviously, if you're here in class, feel free to raise your hand and let me know what your question is. All right. So then we have, after determining the subject matter of the paragraph, you can ask yourself, what does the author want me to know or understand about the subject matter, right? So what are you trying to say? What I was trying to tell you is that my brother is smart, right? So when I asked, what is this about? Some of you said, your brother, right? So my brother is the topic of the paragraph, but also what I want you to know is that he is smart, yeah? So you ask yourself, what does the author want me to know or understand about the subject? And the answer to the question, again, is the main idea. All right? Why do we care about the main idea? Why is it important? Well, here's the thing. It helps you focus and concentrate on what you are reading, right? Helps you recall more details since the main idea is the glue that holds all the details together, right? So it gives the entire paragraph that we said, or the entire conversation or the story that I told you revolves around my brother being smart, right? So everything else that I included is related to that. If it wasn't for it being the glue, then we would not be where we are. All right, one more time, because I think I turned on the fan. And I now think it's picking up the wind that's outside. I turned it off. Guess I'm turning the AC on. Okay, I'm back. All right, and it helps in studying to take better notes, outline more efficiently. So once you know, and this is true in anything, right? Whether you are reading about a math problem or you are reading about a scientific fact, or maybe you're scrolling through social media and you find an interesting article and you decide to read it on the news, right? So if you understand the main idea, then you know why it is the way it is. Cool? Awesome. Some more advantages is that it helps you write more effective summaries, right? So if you have to summarize all of what you wrote, all of what you read, if you know the main idea, then you can do it. So if I ask you to summarize what I said about my brother, what can you say? He's smart. And what else? Why is he smart? Exactly, right? So because you heard the main idea, you are able to summarize more effectively, okay? And it helps you write more complete, in a more complete and intelligent way on the essays and on the test, right? Because remember, if you are, depending on why you're watching this video, if you're doing this for the test, then you have to write an essay, okay? If you are watching this video and it's not for the test, for the GED test, don't worry about the test portion, right? But you do have to write inevitably, right? You do have to write, whether it's for a job you're applying for when you have to submit your cover letter, or you have to, or anything else, an essay, a professor, another class, it doesn't matter. It all starts with writing, and for writing, you have to be able to identify the main idea, just like in reading, and you have to be able to give support to that idea. All right, let's take a look at this passage. So our passage says, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were the first men to walk on the surface of the moon, but they were not the last. That was Gene Cernan, the last man to step off the lunar surface. In total, there have been 12 men who walked on the moon, all of whom had done so between 1969 and 1972, which is the most recent non-Michael Jackson moonwalking. Okay, so that's our example passage. Now let's look at the paragraph, right? So to understand the main idea, you must comprehend the text, right? So you have to focus on the biggest idea in the text. What is this paragraph about? Well, the paragraph, as you saw, is about people walking on the moon, right? Or moonwalkers, correct? Why do we know that? We know that because Armstrong and Aldrin, first men to walk on the moon. Cernan was the last man to walk on the moon. And then 12 men have walked on the moon in total. Yes? So here, if we look back at it, we can say that it tells us that Neil Armstrong and Buzz were the first men to walk on the surface of the moon, but they are not the last. Okay? So essentially, we can understand, even though it's not one particular sentence, we can understand that this main idea, if we ask ourselves, what is the author trying to tell me? Well, we can see that they are trying to say or talk about men walking on the surface of the moon, because they go on to list other examples, right? So it may not say it in bold letters, this paragraph is about men walking on the moon, but it does so by providing us with examples. Yeah? Cool? Awesome. So let's take a look at another paragraph. So the first sentence is often the main idea. This, I said that already. You guys already know this. But let's see it in action. So read the question, read to answer the question, what does the author want me to understand about Charlie Chaplin's tramp costume? Okay, so let's read it. Perhaps the most famous costume in film history is Chaplin's Charlie the Tramp outfit. The costume is an indication of both class and character, conveying the complex mixture of vanity and a dash that makes Charlie appealing. The mustache debris hat, the cane all suggest the fastidious dandy. The cane is used to give the impression of self-importance as Charlie swaggers confidently before a hostile world. But the baggy trouser, several sizes too large, the oversized shoe, the too tight coat, these suggest Charlie's insignificance and poverty. Chaplin's view of mankind is symbolized by that costume, vain, absurd, and finally, vigorously vulnerable. All right, so this paragraph, lots of complicated words. Yeah? Would you not agree? I think everybody who's here agrees. I see a lot of nodding heads. For the people who are watching, I'm 100% sure you agree. And on the test, or sometimes when you're reading, if you're learning English as a second language, sometimes when you're reading, you are confused because you don't know all the words. Yeah? But we have to look a little more closer. Typically, the main idea is in the first or second sentence of the paragraph. So let's read it again. Let's look at this more closely and look at the first paragraph. Perhaps the most famous costume in film history is Chaplin's Charlie the Tramp outfit? Well, here we have what we're going to talk about. The most famous costume in film history. And what is the most famous costume in film history? It's Charlie Chaplin's outfit, right? If you're able to understand that, then the other words shouldn't scare you. Because now that you know what and who the paragraph is about, what is the author trying to tell me here? That it's a famous costume in history. And then we know that typically when you are writing, you have 3 supporting details. You could have more, okay? And supporting details can have more supporting details. And that's how you end up with a large paragraph. But for the most part, if you understand the main idea, the words, even though they look scary to you, they shouldn't be. Because you now know that what you're looking for is things that will help us understand why this is the most famous costume in history, right? So the costume is an indication of both class and character, conveying the complex mixture of vanity and dash that makes Charlie appealing. So within that sentence, we are given a reason. So yes, it looks scary, but let's see which words usually are easier to find, right? So we all know what the costume is because that's what we're talking about, right? So we know that. We generally know both, right? Of both. Even if we don't know indication, we know that the costume is of both class and character, right? Can anyone tell me what that means? It's classy, right? It just means it's classy, and you can just tell that by what is there. So what do we know about the costume, the most famous costume in history? That it is both classy and shows characteristics. Yeah? Can everyone see that? Can everyone see why it says that? Yes? No? This would be the time to say no if it's not no, if it's not yes. All right? All right. So if we continue, we can see that it says the mustache. Everyone knows what a mustache is? Good. So the costume has a mustache. Debris hat. Do we know what debris hat is? Maybe not, but we do know what a hat is, right? So that takes that. So now we have a mustache, we have a hat, and then and cane all suggest the fastidious dandy, right? So we know that the costume has a mustache, it has a hat, and it has a cane. And you know who Charlie Chaplin is? For the most part, almost everyone knows who Charlie Chaplin is, or have seen a picture of Charlie Chaplin. So you know kind of what we're talking about. Not hard, right? Once you find the words that you know and connect them to each other, it's not that bad because you know the topic of the paragraph. If you didn't understand the topic, then it will be a lot harder, right? Let's take a look at another one. All right. So the electronic nature of computer gives them several important attributes. First, computers are extremely fast in processing instructions. That is, at performing calculations and at making logical comparisons. Second, computers are extremely accurate in their processing. Rarely does a computer make an electronic mistake that does not catch the signal to the computer operator. Almost all errors in computer data processing are caused by faulty programs prepared by humans. Third, computers are extremely reliable, being primarily electronic and without moving parts. They seldom have failures. So what is the author trying to tell me? What is the author talking about? Okay, and what's important about them? Electronic attributes, right? And then he goes on to give the example. And then in this one, it's clear because we have first, we have second, we have third, right? So it's clear and you understand it more because you know what he is talking about. So, or she is talking about. So once you understand what the author is talking about, then it's all good. You got this, right? So it makes it easier. So locating the main idea at the end of the paragraph. Typically in a paragraph, when you're writing in English, you have to have a topic sentence and a concluding sentence. And a topic sentence and a concluding sentence usually repeat, right? It repeats or gives us a summary of the main idea. So you can also look at the end of the paragraph to find out what it is about. Yeah? So let's take a look at this one. Back to this one. Our first sentence says the electronic nature of computers gives them several important attributes, right? Our last sentence says they are extremely reliable, being primarily electronic without moving parts, they seldom have failures, okay? So let's compare the two. The electronic nature of computer gives them several important attributes, right? Because they are electronic, they are important. That's what it's saying. Let's look at the last paragraph. Computers are extremely reliable, which means they are important. Being primarily electronic, without moving parts, they seldom fail. So basically, it is repeating the top. Why? Computers are important because they're electronic. Yeah? Do you see it? Awesome. Okay, so when you look at the last sentence of the paragraph, if you're having a hard time finding the topic sentence, look at the last one and you'll be able to find what that paragraph is about. All right, so if you're reading a passage on a test or just a passage in general, that's what you need to do. All right, so sometimes, let's read this one. Sometimes the last sentence of the paragraph states the main idea. So what does the author want me to understand and not forget about, right? So the author then is reminding us, because between point A and point B, right, between the first and second and last sentence, there are a bunch of other sentences. And these other sentences can take you to a different place in your mind, right? So then it brings us back. It almost is like you have a line and you're going above the line and back to that line. It's like half a circle, right? Okay. So osmosis, this is another example. Osmosis is the diffusion of water across a selectively permeable membrane that has given a special term. It's called osmosis. Osmosis is defined as the net movement of water molecules from the area of greater concentration of water to the area of lesser concentration of water across a selectively permeable membrane. Again, it sounds complicated, it sounds hard, but focus on the words that you know. Yes? So when you focus on the words that you know, it's easier to identify what this topic is about. Cool? So what is the topic of this paragraph? Osmosis. And what does osmosis do? What is it? It's the movement of water. It's the movement of water between two membranes. That's it. And we see that in the first sentence. We also see it in the last sentence. That's not one of my favorite examples, but it is what it is. All right. How do we know it's the last sentence? Apart from the fact that we see it, they typically end in a similar way, right? In conclusion, therefore, finally, thus, as a result of, consequently, so, for these reasons. These are all ways that the author can say or indicate that this is the last sentence. And if you know it's the last sentence, then you can look at it to find the main idea if you are having a hard time finding the main idea somewhere else. Cool? Awesome. All right, sorry. All right. All right. So helpful hints, eliminate questions. If you're writing, eliminate questions. Eliminate connecting sentences between paragraphs. Eliminate detailed sentences and or isolated facts or examples, right? So these are, how do you find the topic sentence? You take away the questions, right? If it's a question, then it's probably not the topic sentence. If it is a connecting a sentence between the paragraphs, it's probably not the topic sentence. If it says for example, or is an example, or it says first, second, third, all these things, means it's not a topic sentence. And then you can eliminate some introductory information. Cool? Awesome. So that is it for this lecture. If you have any questions and you're here, obviously you can ask me. If you have questions and you are not here, you can then send me a comment on the video or send me an email or anything like that. And I'll see you guys in the next video. And here we will continue with our lecture.